Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. One of the reasons why the comic book industry has been in a major state of decline for the last 30 years is because many of those who work in comics don't know how to work with people. Now, when it comes to many of the people who work in the comic book industry, yes, many of them are talented writers and talented artists, but when it comes down to customer relations, they don't understand how to have a relationship with people. And since they don't understand how to have a relationship with people, this is where they wind up losing a lot of sales as related to comics. Now, one of the big problems I have seen ever since I was about 13, 14 years old, when I used to pick up my comics from the bodegas, is that a lot of people, again, when it comes to comics, who sell comics, whether they be in those places like bodegas or drugstores or candy stores, is that they would be very, very defensive as related to, again, selling these books. And that situation gets exacerbated when you go to a comic book store or you go to a Comic-Con. And a lot of those people who work in comics, because they are extremely socially awkward, they don't know how to sit down and talk to people or have relationships with people. And this is what drove away a lot of sales and drove away a lot of customers. And this situation got really worse after the comic speculator boom of the 90s. One of the things that basically drove people away from comics was not only a lot of the comics just being of poor quality, because back in the 90s they were trying to pander to people with events and stunts, but they also, one of the things that I ran into was that you saw a lot of comic shop owners being very hostile to many of the new people who came into the shop. Now, when it came down to the people who they were friends with, who had pull lists, they were cool with those people, but they didn't understand that you need to go out here and show that same respect to the new customer, because the new customer is the lifeblood of a business, and new customers are important to a business. But many in the 90s, again, didn't do this, and what they did was go out here and alienate a lot of people, and that's what led to the decline of comics after the speculator boom. Once people saw that, oh, there's no way for me to make money on these comics as related to economics, as related to supply and demand, many people walked away from the comic book stores and didn't want anything to do with them, because they saw not only a lot of anti-social content in the pages of many of these comics, but they also ran into anti-social people, and they ran into these anti-social people who didn't understand the concept of customer service. Now, when it comes to a business, you have to understand a business, it makes its money based on its people. It makes its business on its people. And sadly, when it came down to many who worked in comics, they didn't understand salesmanship, and they didn't understand the importance of building a relationship with new customers. Now, as I've stated before in many videos, I've stated that when it comes down to comics, comics are not a creative business as related to the publishing side. No, when it comes to the publishing side, it's a sales business. And with it being a sales business, you have to know how to sell. And you have to not only know how to sell your books, but you have to know how to sell yourself. And that's something that I understood as I started even before I started my SJS Direct imprint. Even before I started my SJS Direct imprint, I understood that the relationship with the customer was the most important thing as related to my business. I understood that I needed to have a relationship with the customer and have engaged that customer in an amicable fashion, because you're just not selling these characters like I do with characters like Isis or John Haynes or Esteem. No, what I'm doing is selling myself, and I'm selling myself because I am the face of the business. And as the face of the business, I have to have a relationship with the customer. This is something that I basically saw reinforced to me when I used to go to Brooks Brothers on Madison Avenue with my family member. We used to go to Brooks Brothers, and in the women's department, there was a West Indian lady who was working the floor, and we became very good friends and again engaged each other. And as we were on that floor, this woman was very kind, this woman was very friendly and very professional. And again, I have great memories of that experience with that woman working at Brooks Brothers. And that sister, again, knew how to sell. She knew that, again, that relationship between the customer and the staff at the store. This is how you make your money, because people at Brooks Brothers work on commission. And as I was having that relationship, my family member was out here buying clothes. And again, she was getting good commissions because they understood what selling is. And again, that helped me to reinforce to what selling was as related to my own SJS Direct Imprint. And as I came on social media, I formed relationships with people as related to the blogs, and I also formed relationships with people on YouTube. Again, building relationships with the customer so that the customer, again, knows that they're not just buying a story, they're buying an experience that I am providing to them, and again, showing them that I care. Again, showing them that I care as related to the business. That's what you have to, again, do when you're out here selling. But a lot of these guys don't know really how to sell very well. Again, some people, they don't know how to sell as related to providing a customer experience. And this is one of the things that has plagued the comic book industry for many years. Again, back when I was in junior high school at the bodegas, again, this is what made that product not really, again, sell as well as it could. And when I went to the shows and the cons, again, you get all of this very brusque behavior from those who, again, are working the tables, or you go to the comic shop and you just get treated real cold. So it doesn't really allow you to form that connection like I had at Brooks Brothers, where you're going, oh, this is a store I like to go to because people here are cool. And again, they know their product. They know how to sell. They know how to have a relationship with the customer. They know how to, again, talk to people and again engage people. They know how to again talk to people and let them know, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is what I can provide to you. Because I recently had a viewer come to me and say, when I presented my Isis Samurai Goddess book up on the post, and asked me if this is for a child, and I let them know, yeah, this book is for a child. Again, anything I put in SJS Direct Universe books is PG-13. You can feel safe about sharing this with your kids. There's not going to be anything, again, in these books that would go too far as related to things. I mean, anything that was in a old school comic book is the same thing as an SJS Direct Universe book. And even in books like I've done, like Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, again, the content is PG-13. Again, I keep a line as related to product, and that's one of the things I want to do, because I want to form a relationship with the customer, in that I look to build trust with the customer. And again, I understand that, again, new customers are the lifeblood of a business. New customers are a major part of expanding a business. And that's where the comic book industry has it lost. And these days, I'm starting to see a lot of crowdfunders having the same issue as related to their business. I'm starting to see a lot of crowdfunders not understanding how to, again, build that relationship with the customer. I recently had an experience with one guy, again, where he basically, again, just got in his feelings and, again, didn't understand that, again, a customer, when they make a comment, again, doesn't mean to be offensive to you. And, again, you can't take it personal. This is business, and you have to think about how you're going to make your money. And, again, these guys don't think about their money because they get caught up in their feelings as related to things, and that basically impedes their ability to go out here and make money in this business. Because, again, in this business, this is a sales business, and with it being about sales, your job is to go out here and not only sell your character, but you have to sell your character as related to who you are. You have to sell your character as related to who you are, because people are not just buying a product, They're buying an experience you're providing, and they're buying an experience that you're providing and showing them who you are as related to your character. Now, when it comes down to some of these crowdfunding guys, again, or gals, they really don't understand customer relations. I mean, I recently read a post on Facebook that talked about Ethan Van Sciver and talked about how Ethan Van Sciver sat there and said after 3 or 4 years said he was tired and really didn't want to make a comic. And again, that really was going to hurt the entire crowdfunding platform. Now, this guy had sat there and made several projects and put them up on social media, but then did not deliver on those products for years. And that really is going to do damage to the overall crowdfunding comic business because, again, this business is based on trust. It is based on trust and forming a relationship with the customer, where you're going to believe that you're going to get a quality product for your money. You believe you're going to get a quality product in a reasonable time, and you're going to be able to have a great reading experience. That's what people were expecting from Ethan Van Sciver, but instead of making that statement, he tells people years later that he's tired and basically isn't going to provide them with anything but an excuse. And that's one of the things that, again, does damage to this business, which already has a very bad reputation. I mean, the comic book business has a bad reputation as related to customer relations, and in the crowdfunding circles, it's basically this situation is getting exacerbated because we have people who don't really understand the importance of building customer trust. And customer trust is what you need, but the sad part is the comic book industry doesn't have good customer trust, and that's why people aren't anticipating going to the comic book stores anymore. They're not anticipating going to the comic book stores for new comics because they can't, one, trust the content inside to be safe for their families or safe for showing their friends because many of the images inside of these books are antisocial. And two, you have people who don't know how to engage other people. They don't know how to use tools like social media to engage other people, whether it be many of these creatives who go out here and put their politics up front and let people see a side of them that people don't want to see, or people who are just downright nasty or do things like use block bots to basically block anyone who disagrees with them. That's a major thing that alienates people because, and again, when you're doing customer service, you're going to run into people who you have disagreements with, or they basically may not like you, but you have to navigate through your emotions. This is another thing that some folks don't understand, that when you are in a customer position, service position, you're going to have to control your emotions and not take things personal. You have to understand your business is to make money. Your business is to go out here and get this bread, but these people don't know how to go out here and build that relationship in order to get that bread. No, what they do is, again, get in their feelings and then become antisocial. Others get socially awkward and, again, don't know that, again, these people are nothing to be afraid of. These are your customers. And, again, you want to form that relationship with your customer. You want to connect with your customer. You want to get close to your customer. You want your customer to feel like, okay, if Sean is coming out here with some SJS Direct books, I know I can trust anything in that book. I know that if I pick this up, it's going to be of a high standard. I know that if I pick this up, I know I don't have to worry about any sort of extremely graphic content. If I pick this up, I can share this with my family or I can share it with my friends. Again, we have moved away from that type of customer service in comics as the industry became insular in the 90s. As the industry became insular in the 90s, we basically have walked away from customer relations, and that's why comic sales are at an all-time low at this point, where you have top-tier books at one time that sold 6 figures like Batman and Spider-Man, or even 1 million copies like X-Men #1 and Spider-Man #1. These books can barely pull 5,000 units, and they can barely pull 5,000 units because the people in the business don't understand the importance of having salesmanship. They don't understand the importance of sales, And that's what many crowdfunders don't understand. They don't understand the importance of sales. They don't understand the importance of connecting with your customer base and forming that customer base. They don't understand that you need your base in order to expand. You need your target audience in order to expand into a larger audience. These are things that people who know marketing understand. Like in the case of 2016, when I wrote the novel Spellbound, I knew that my core base was going to be goths, and I basically, again, went out here and presented a lot of videos talking about the goth subculture and issues as related to goths and how it related to the book. And I had another audience that basically I wanted to use as a source, foundational Black Americans, and again was managing to reach people. And that whole promotion was a successful one for me because, again, I knew how to promote as related to making videos 90 days before the book launch. And when I do other books, I go out here and again talk to people and let them know, yeah, this book is coming. Yeah, this book is going to feature this, and talk about how it relates to different topics. And that's all part of, again, letting people get to know you, letting them get to know why you wrote this project or created this project. I mean, letting people know why you did this and why you're passionate about it. I mean, this is what engages people, because when I did Spellbound, I was talking about, being an introvert and finding your voice, which is something a lot of kids in the goth scene wanted to do, and that's why they express themselves that way. And when I do books like John Haynes at Death's Door, when I do a comic like that, I'm talking about, again, a Black man overcoming the odds. And again, you have to connect with people, and that's the big problem with the comic book industry, is that it's become an anti-people business, and it's been that way for over 35 years, I see even 40 years, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, people should be able to go out here and talk to their favorite comic writer or talk to their favorite comic artist and learn something about the craft of writing. That's why I would do the live streams, because, again, I wanted people to know how much I'm passionate about writing, how passionate I am about comics, how passionate I am about things, and again, and that's why I also do comic review videos, because I also want to talk about the craft of comics and also teach the craft to people. Again, you want new people to come in and get excited. You want new people to come in and really, get into these comics and see how much fun they are. And I don't really see that because people don't know how to do customer service. Now, there are some people who I know who have done it, like Chris Crazyhouse. He really has great enthusiasm as related to comics. And guys, he isn't on YouTube, but it's Corey Hardiman. He has a great heart as related to comics. And there are other guys like Josh Howard who have really great passion and Bill Walker with passion for comics. Again, this is what people need to see if you want to sell comics. They need to see that passion. They need to see that heart. They need to see you being engaging and excited, and it's related to your love for comics. And it's something that we really, again, is about building that relationship with the customer and building that relationship with the customer. I mean, this is a long road. I've been doing this for about, 5-7 years on YouTube as related to live streaming, and even before that, I was making videos. Again, the whole point is that you have to sell yourself. And again, sell yourself, because that's going to sell the product. Because if people can build a trust with you, if they can build a trust with you and a relationship with you, like me and my family member had when we went to Brooks Brothers on Madison Avenue. Again, those guys in those high-end stores like Brooks Brothers, Charles Turwitt, again, and places like Allen Edmonds, they value the customer. They value the relationship with the customer. And when they form relationships with new customers, they know that it's not just about the money, it's about the relationship you have with the customer. Because if the customer trusts you, what they can do is build the word of mouth. They build the word of mouth that's going to sell your books. They build the word of mouth. And again, in publishing, you do need that word of mouth as related to readers. This is where I can agree with John Della Rose that you need readers to sell books. You need readers who you can build a trust with. You need readers that can say, hey, I read this book. This book is safe. This book, I can share it with my kids. I can share it with my friends. You don't have to worry about nothing weird. You don't have to worry about no mutilations. You don't have to worry about any excessive nudity or any sort of stuff. like sexual situations, again, stuff that makes people feel uncomfortable. Yeah, you're going to get an action and adventure story, and you're not going to have to deal with any sort of social justice or identity politics whatsoever. No, you're not going to have to deal with any of that at all as related to anything. And that's what you want to do, again, as part of customer relations. Again, the relationship with the customer is paramount when you're out here with comics. And what I want many of the crowdfunders to know is that you have to build that relationship with your customer, build that trust with your customer, because if you build that, what you're going to do is, again, be a place where you can build that trust and, again, increase your sales, because this is a sales business. And again, you have to understand how to sell. And again, selling is about building that trust with your customer, building that brand and that reputation with your customer, because customer service has been a major problem with the comic book industry. And that's one of the reasons why this industry struggles and things just get progressively worse, is because people go to their social media. They don't see this person promoting their work. They see them going into bashing of whatever political party. They see them going into rants where they're arguing with potential customers, and that basically drives people away from comics. It makes them not want to, again, buy a comic, because if this person making the superheroes is acting like a supervillain online, if this person making the comics is acting like a bad person online, there's no way they can trust that person. Like in the case of Ethan Van Sciver, he destroyed all of his trust with customers because he's promised to put books out, but the books are still not out years later. Same thing with folks who go out here and make crowdfunding campaigns and don't put the products out. Again, you destroy public trust. And again, destroying public trust basically destroys your reputation and makes it where people don't trust you and don't want to spend money. And that also hurts other creators who come out here and get their stuff out on time. There are creators who get their stuff out on time, and it hurts their business, because again, when people have one bad experience, the word of mouth goes around and hurts everybody as related to things. Now, again, when it comes to, again, this business, it's a people business. And if you don't know how to work with people, you don't know how to work with people and build that platform of sales. Again, you're not going to be able to make it. And this has hurt the comic book industry. It's hurt it very badly because, again, people, they think, oh, I created a comic and customers are just supposed to buy it. No, you have to go out here and cultivate a relationship with the customer. You have to develop a relationship with customers. You have to let people get to know you. You have to let them know that you're a person they can trust. And that's where many in the comic book industry really don't understand it, because they don't understand the stereotypes that revolve around people who work in comics. They think that people in comics are socially awkward. They think people in comics have bad hygiene and don't really take care of themselves. And that's not the image you want to present. And that's not the image I try to present. No, I try to present an image of a guy who, yeah, I do love comics. I have a passion for creating comics and writing fantasy stories, but I want to also present an image of professionalism, and an image of professionalism where if I were to do Comic-Cons or events, I'm going to come, again, dressed in very proper clothes like Brooks Brothers. I'm going to come there with professionalism as related to customer service like I provide on my videos and my live streams. Again, I want people to know that, again, when it comes to the SJS Direct Imprint and Sean James, that you're going to get professionalism as related to things. And go out here, and when I do products like John Haynes at Death's Door, my first full comic, that I went out here and I, again, got those comics out early because I respected the customer's money and valued their time. I valued their time because, again, I wanted them to have that comic in a speedy and efficient manner, and it was up to me to take responsibility for the project, to not only coordinate the project, but make sure that the project was completed, people were paid on time, and that the final product was of the highest quality. Again, I wanted to give the customer a great experience, all around, because that's part of, again, building a business and building a reputation. I do the same thing with my eBay store that I have. Again, when I go out here, the products are packed and shipped in a again, to make sure that they don't get damaged. And again, you want to make sure that you're, again, forming that relationship with the customer where they can say, okay, that this guy is trustworthy, this guy is going to handle business in a reasonable manner. And again, handle business in a reasonable manner and make sure that if I go out here and I put in a pre-order, like I put up books every year, when you put up a pre-order, that file is already uploaded to Amazon Kindle or Draft to Digital, and you're gonna get your book. You don't have to sit there and wait and go, oh, he's still trying to work on it. No, the book is ready. That's my job as a publisher to do that. Again, as related to my relationship with the customer, is making sure everything is on point. That is the goal of a professional when you're in the business, making sure that product is up to standard, product is out on time, and making sure that the customer, again, is provided for. Now, the customer, again, is provided for within boundaries because, again, I run into people who do have entitlement issues, who believe they deserve to have books that are longer in some cases, but it's about making sure that the story is finished. Now, that's one of the things I do, but I deal with that, again, and being professional about it and handling things. But the problems I see with the comic book industry are that you have so many unprofessional people, whether they be in creative or whether they be in editorial. Nobody really knows how to have a relationship with people. And since they don't know how to have a relationship with people, this is the reason why sales of comics have basically dropped and went into decline for the last 30 years. Now, my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu.com right now, and you can pick up your own paper copy for the same price as it was on the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to check out my first digital comic, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for just 99 cents on Amazon.com, and you can also pick it up in the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past. And if you want to check out many of the titles in the SJS Direct universe that are safe for all ages, you can pick up books like those in the ISA series, books like those in the Esteem series, books like those in the John Haynes series, and novels like The Temptation of John Haynes, or novels like The Thetas or Eternal Night, or books like Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. You can find all of those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, and you can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me be able to continue making videos about the comic book industry, or want to see me be able to continue being able to make comics or pay artists for the art and interiors on the covers of SJS Direct books, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at Lulu.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.